Okay, so part three, we're talking about five powerful women of the Bible and what we can learn from them in our series, Let the Older Women Teach the Younger Women. So we've talked about Ruth, we've talked about Esther, now we're talking about Naomi. Naomi was Ruth's mother-in-law. Naomi, I put, she loved and she acted righteously. Now, Naomi was an elder. She was Ruth's mother in law. And she, in the story, says, I'm too old to have any more children, and I'm too old to get married. So we know she was an elderly woman. Her husband had died, and her two sons had died, and it was just her and her two daughters in law who she loved, and they loved her. But because of the situation they were in, where their husbands, all the men in their family were deceased, and they had no covering and they had no man to look after them, Naomi was going to go back to her hometown of Bethlehem. And she told Ruth and Orpah, her other daughter-in-law, to go back to their parents because they were young and they could go back home as widows and remarry and still have a good life. And she didn't want to deprive them of that. And it's for that reason that she showed her love and she showed her righteousness. See, a person who has love in their heart can have a need, but they'll put their needs aside to make sure you are all right. Or if something seems more righteous, even if it's detrimental to them or it makes their way harder, they'll say, but the right thing to do is this. So even though Naomi was, by herself, she had no one, she still told her daughters-in-law, go home to your mother. You don't have to stay here with me, even though they were willing to stay with her, which a lot of people, when they get scared in life, they'll try to keep other people with them, even if they know it's not the best thing for that other person, or even if they know they're asking that other person to sacrifice a lot, or the sacrifice that they're asking for might even be unreasonable. They'll ask. A lot of people don't mind imposing upon you because of their fears. Sometimes fear will make you ask too much of people. And it's manipulative and it's selfish to ask too much of people or put people in a position where helping you hurts them. But Naomi didn't do that, even though a lot of people would have. Naomi didn't take advantage of their youth and try to manipulate them into doing what she wanted. She told them the right thing. Hey, you got a chance at a whole new life, even though, you lost your husband and who were my sons. You still got a chance to start all over. Don't miss that opportunity for yourself. So Orpah said, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go home. And it wasn't bad that she said it because, it made sense. But Ruth was extraordinary in that she said, I can't do that. I can't leave you. I know that you're by yourself. I couldn't go off and start a new life knowing you're by yourself. I love you. I've come to love you like a mother. And that's the beautiful thing about this story too, because you have to say, who was Naomi for Ruth and Orpah to feel this way about her? There's all different types of daughter-in-law and mother-in-law relationships. Some daughters-in-law don't have a good relationship with their mother. And a lot of times it's because they weren't shown a lot of love. How much love must Naomi have shown these girls for them to cry the way they did at the thought of leaving her? Even though Orpah left, she was very grieved about it. And Ruth just couldn't even do it. She was like, I can't leave you. Wherever you go, I'm going. That's love. And Naomi didn't have any daughters. She only had sons. And sometimes women only have sons, but they may have wanted a daughter, and for whatever reason they didn't have one or couldn't have one. But sometimes God will give you that daughter through your sons. And if you get that daughter through your sons and you treat them well and you love them like you would have loved your own daughter, you get a real daughter, even though you didn't give birth to her. And that's what Naomi got in Ruth. She loved those girls, and for that love, she got a companion, a loyal companion out of Ruth. Also, Naomi was an older woman, so she knew a lot. Ruth was young. They were a good combination. Because when you put Ruth's youth with Naomi's wisdom, that's what got them both security through Boaz, when Naomi told Ruth how to approach him and what to ask him and how to make provision for themselves. See, older women, wise women, understand how to deal with men on a provisionary basis. Most of the time when you're a mature woman, you think about future. And when you deal with men, you talk about, how can you, make sure my needs are met. When you a young woman and you just, ooh, he's so cute. Ooh, he like me. Ooh, I hope he asks me out. Ooh, I just be happy to be on the list of women he calls. When you young and silly, you think like that. But when you're older, you don't just talk to me and to be talking to him. You like, look, where's this going? And how is this going to help my future? And how are you going to make life better for me? Because if you don't ask me in that, they could make life worse for you. You can meet a man and be minding your business, and next thing you know, he breaks up with you, but he not before leaving you with a baby to raise by yourself. You know what I mean? A lot of women find themselves in that situation. So because of the wisdom that Naomi had, Ruth was able to marry Boaz because she knew how to communicate with him, because a wise woman told her. She had the youth and beauty of a young woman, but she had the information of a wise woman. And because she knew how to follow instruction, because you can tell people good information doesn't mean they're going to listen, and a lot of people don't. You can tell them good information. You can be a woman married 30 years, 40 years, and try to tell single people what to do, and they just won't listen. But Ruth listened, and as a result, she married the most powerful man in town, and it secured a future for her, and he took care of her mother-in-law, even though Naomi was his kinsman. But he was motivated by Ruth's youth, loyalty, and desire to look out for her mother-in-law. And he was able to hear what she had to say because Naomi told her how to say it. So Naomi loved her daughters-in-law, and that love paid off for her. She loved her daughters-in-law as she would have loved her own daughters, and they became like her own daughters, even down to Ruth being in a position to take her with her into her next marriage and make sure she was all right. And she acted righteously. When you act righteously, when you put down manipulation and you say things to people that they didn't even know was right till you said it. When she said, I can't ask you guys to stay with me. I don't have any more sons for you to marry. And even if I could give birth to another son, what you going to do? Wait on him to grow up and then marry him? She told him the truth, even though it hurt her. She said, you can't stay with me. It would ruin your life, but you got a chance if you go on. That righteousness, that trust in God, even though she thought God had forsaken her, she didn't use fear to manipulate those girls to stay with her. She didn't use her fear and for her life to, try to do anything dishonest. She just was willing to accept her fate, and God looked out for her and showed her that her love and her righteousness meant something to him, and he rewarded her greatly. And her wisdom was the power paired with Ruth's youth and beauty and loyalty that got them both what they needed. So that's what we can learn from Naomi. Be a loving woman. Jesus said, you'll know they are my disciples by their love. And be a righteous woman. You also know the disciples because they righteous. They tell the truth no matter what. Love and righteousness is what made Naomi a notable woman of the Bible. Her love and her righteousness. 5 powerful women of the Bible and what we can learn from them. That's what we're talking about. And the next woman on the list is Mary Magdalene. So join me for part 4.